Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
That's it. I think we're in. We're live. With episode 80 of Fathers of the Grind. 80 episodes without missing one, right? I don't think we've missed a week, have we?
Nope, we have not.
My wife just not yelled, she just said from the room right beside me, she said no very quickly to that question. So we haven't missed a week, have we? She goes, no. Love and support, you guys. Love and support. Hang on, I'm going to get punched. Hang on.
I gotta get notes.
She said it's just called tolerance. That's part of love, actually, guys. That's life lessons for those of you who are early in your marriage. Tolerance is a big part of that. All right. Derek, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's fine.
I don't pay attention to my wife.
It's totally fine. Well, wow. That's unfortunate for you guys.
It's
All right.
fortunate for me. No, unfortunate for me.
See ya. As soon as I set up my recording equipment, my wife starts packing up her purse. She's out of here. She's leaving.
She's leaving for the night.
She's like, I'd rather go grocery shopping than sit here and listen to a one-sided conversation about video games. I don't blame her. All right, let's get into this thing. Episode 80. The good thing about this week's episode, I guess it's a good and bad depending on your perspective, is that we're not going to continue our the state of series. We already did state of Nintendo. We did state of Xbox. We are going to do a state of Sony, PlayStation specifically, but not this week. We'll do that a different week. This week is a chance to catch up on some news and then listen to some of our thoughts from the community. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we do, Derek, whether it's family-related stuff or gaming stuff, what's going on with you these days, this summer?
Nothing much. Just keeping busy, staying in soccer with the kids, even though it's technically off season. We did go Friday to. I took the day off. I took Thursday and Friday off work, and Friday we went to Wikiwachi, which for those who don't know what that is, it's basically. It's been around for a long time, but it's a place where we have springs where they have like mermaid shows and you can swim, and they have slides built in to the springs and stuff like that. So we spent the day there. It was overall a good time, but yeah, just keeping busy, doing stuff, staying active, that type of stuff. Nothing
For a
special.
summer in Florida, is it pretty extreme? Is it pretty crazy, or is it not too bad? Or is it kind of right on par?
It feels the same. I mean, I haven't been outside as much as I normally am, so I haven't really been noticing, so it hasn't been impacting my life too much, but it's been a lot of hot days that then all of a sudden we get a storm. So It's been storming a lot lately, which is a good thing because we went through months and months of a drought, and even at my work we have like a nice pond area, and the pond had dropped like at least 5 or 6 feet, and like where it's supposed to have water, there was like no water for about 10 to 15 yards.
Yeah, that is not
and
good.
Now all of a sudden I was walking by it on Wednesday, and I looked out and I was like, oh wow, it's all filled up again. So we've been getting a lot of rain, so it's been good.
Jeez.
Yeah. As
That's
far
not
as
great.
gaming goes,
Well, I was just going to say real quick, the weather sounds very similar to Colorado weather. It's almost as if we live in the same place, like we're living in the same house. Almost.
Let's quickly high five it. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, that was really a lagged high five there. So lame. Okay. Okay.
Joke's over? Should I
Yeah.
stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as gaming, still playing Andromeda a little bit, so I won't talk about it anymore. We've talked about it enough. Still gonna finish that game. I'm enjoying it, but I decided I wanted to, because Horizon Zero Dawn got an update where you could play New Game Plus and all that stuff, and I was like, well, maybe I should play New Game Plus and maybe go for the Platinum. And
Doing hard mode?
No, I'm not doing hard mode because I was gonna try to do the platinum. I
Okay,
just did
yep.
the new game plus and then kept it the same so I could run through things faster. It's been a lot of fun though. I don't know if the game has new game plus plus. I hope it does. I've already maxed out my character, and if I can play another game, I'm not gonna do it right now, but like if I can play it again on ultra hard, I will do it. But right now I'm playing it on easy peasy just so I can get through everything because there's so much stuff I have to do since I technically started the game over. Started with a fresh map. Um, so it's been fun. I'm enjoying it. There's some frustrating things if you're going for the platinum, which again I haven't even fully decided if I'm going to go for the platinum just because I'll tell you the number one reason why I don't go for platinums. And
Okay.
if you notice all the platinums I have, none of them really have you do this a lot. I don't like collecting collectibles. If it's like 15 collectibles and I can get them like while I'm going through the game, like for instance, as an example, the order requires you to get the platinum to get collectibles. But the game's so linear, you just kind of go through and then you only have to deviate a little bit to get those collectibles. It wasn't a big deal. This game's a big open world, and there's not just, well, go get 20 of these things. There's like 50 different categories of collectibles, and I'm like, okay, this is annoying. Like,
Okay.
this isn't gonna be fun. Like, I'm having fun right now playing the game, but the thought of doing the platinum, now that I've looked at some of the trophies, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna be fun. So,
Yeah. No, I'm
right
with
now,
you
I
there.
think I'm gonna focus on just beating the game a second time. But what I'm doing that's different from the first time I played it is I'm doing all missions. I'm doing all side missions. I'm doing all the Hunter's Lodge. I'm doing everything.
Have you
Errands,
hit anything
everything.
yet that you skipped the first time around that jumps out at
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I've done a ton. I barely touched the Hunter's Lodge. I think I did like,
Okay.
you know, when you start the game, they have you kind of they introduce it. I
Yep.
did like one or two of those, and this one I've done every single Hunter's Lodge and gotten the highest sun ranking, whatever
Oh,
it's
nice.
called.
Yeah, so you have to do it under a certain time limit, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've done 9 of the 15, I think.
Yeah, I think those are pretty fun. I didn't do all of them, but my first playthrough, I tried most of them at least. I at least tried them, and I thought they were
didn't
pretty
try
fun.
them. I had no interest, but now I'm going through it, and it's some of them are infuriating. Like
Yeah.
again, this coming from a guy who hates stealth. One of them that I just did today was you had to stealth kill 4 watchers in under 2 minutes. And
Easy.
yeah,
Easy.
well, that would be easy if it was just watchers, but there was a what are the invisible ones?
Oh yeah, like
Snatcher.
kind of the tiger-looking ones. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, I forgot what they're called. It starts with an S. They're in the woods with you, and the crab ones, the big fat back ones,
Yeah, with all
they're
the
in there
armor.
as well. And so if
Yeah.
any of them spot you, they alert obviously the watchers as well. So it was a little infuriating, but it only took me about 4 tries, and then
Yeah.
I'll admit it's one of those where maybe if you're a master stealth person, it doesn't take a little luck. But for me, for under 2 minutes to stealth kill 4 watchers who aren't close to each other, it took a little bit of luck. And what I mean by that is I killed the first 2 stealth in under 30 seconds. They were kind of closer to each other, and I was like, all right, I'm doing good. I'm on pace. And then I went and to get the third one, and the third one spotted me, and I was like, oh. So I ran away trying to get it to stop being alerting. Well, it followed me, and I ended up running into the 4th one.
Oops.
And so they both were alert, or no, while I was running away from the 3rd one, I ran into the 4th one, but he hadn't spotted me yet. It flashed across the screen R1 to silent kill, and I did it real fast, and I killed him, and then I got away from the 4th one and killed him later.
You know, if you
Like-
ever consider a career change, I don't think Private Eye is the way to go. I just don't think that's a skill
really
set.
Stealth is definitely definitely something I'm really, really good at. I've really honed the skills of stealth.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
that one got me cussing. In fact, it got my wife out of the room going, I think you need to get off the games. And I'm like, no. No. This one's effing bullshit. This one's effing, you know, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is bull. This is what they do. This is why I hate this crap. And I started my little rant on why I can't stand games.
And she sat down and she was like, "Tell me more. I'm really interested in hearing all
It was
this."
more like, yeah, I'm gonna go back in my room, and you're a terrible father and husband. Have a great day. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Horizon, a lot of Rocket League. I don't know if I just suck at I mean, my rankings are good, but I'm moving up in the rankings, and it's just getting to the point where I feel like a complete noob. Like, I'm trying to fly around the arena, but I am just such an amateur, and I'm getting... I'll have my good games, don't get me wrong. I'll have my MVP games, but they're very few and far between now that I've hit the Gold 3 level and Platinum even on
they get
on
too
both
good.
3v3 and 2v2. I've gotten back up to... And this is on PC. On the PS4, I'm in Gold on 2v2 and high silver on 3v3, but I'm just working on that.
Like, are you making your teammates mad? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, like I've been chewed out several times.
I hate that.
And I'm like, seriously, I'm trying, but it's a whole nother level, and it kind of sucks because my style of gameplay I'm just not a flyer. I'm a quick defensive player who can score real fast. But when the ball's never on the ground, it's like, oh, well, I'm useless.
Yeah,
I'll
these
make
guys
a
can
few
jump
saves.
off the wall,
I've
and
become
they can
very
like,
good defensively.
They tap
but-
their boost in the right way that they kind of just float across the level and hit it straight down. I can't do
Yeah,
that
I
kind of stuff.
don't. I've yet to. I can fly and score. I can score some goals in the air. It's not like I can't do any. I just can't do if the ball's here, and my starting point's here, and I start to zig over here in the air. I'll usually just miss it. Something's off. The angle's off. I can't do it. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm not playing anything new. I haven't really played much of ARMS this past week, although it is still my kid's favorite. I know they released some stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Some DLC. I did just today. I finished Mass Effect Andromeda. We've talked about that a lot over the last few weeks. I'll just say one last time, I really, really liked it, and I liked the story. I liked the way it ended.
I was gonna say, did you
I
at
did
least talk about? Did you like how it ended?
I do like how it ended. I
Good
did all
closure.
of the loyalty stuff with all the characters, so I got all that done before.
Did you do all the memories?
Yes, did all the memories.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So I did all those, what I would consider to be the main side quests, and then I closed it out, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then there's a little epilogue where you can do some conversation stuff. Did that stuff, and then it kind of opens up to, okay, now go wherever you want. Finish off your side missions and explore, and I don't really have a desire to do that. I don't really want... You can respec in Lexi, the doctor's office, and knock out some of the trophies that you couldn't get with the soldier spec, but I'm not going for the plat on that game. I feel complete, I feel done, and yeah, so that game is finished, and I really, really liked it. Still playing through Implosion on the Switch a little bit. That's kind of my handheld arcadey side game. I still recommend it if you like arcade-style hack-and-slash games. It's kind of fun. And then, of course, we played some Destiny, so I figured I'd throw that in there too, as we are all gearing up for the Destiny 2 beta, and Destiny 2 in about 7 weeks, something like that, it comes out. So as we're gearing up for that, I jumped back into Destiny with Derek and our friend Rob Rinaldi, and Destiny is fun. That's a fun game. So unfortunately, I mean, I don't know about you, Derek, but as much as I enjoy Destiny, Rob's just such an unpleasant guy. You know, he's so hard to talk to, so disagreeable.
He's extremely disappointing to be around.
It's just, so
it's
disagreeable
like
and
one of
negative.
those things where like you log on and you're like, God, please don't let Rob see me, and yet he always sees me online. So.
Anyone who doesn't know being sarcastic, please know that our friend Rob Rinaldi is actually one of the most positive and friendly people ever.
He's a white supremacist, though. He is.
He's super not. He's totally not that. He is
he's
not
white
that.
supremacist.
Derek, just because it's someone that you like doesn't mean that they are instantly one of you, okay? That doesn't make them like you.
So if I say I like John Martin, he becomes a white supremacist as well?
Apparently.
John Martin, I like you.
Oh, but see, no one believes that either.
Yeah,
that
'cause I
phrase
don't
by
like
itself,
John.
no one
Screw
believes.
John. John sucks.
All right, so that's what I've been playing, and yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. It's been that time of year where I've been watching some TV shows and some movies. I just saw Spider-Man: Homecoming today. Got to see Baby Driver last week. So yeah, I've been seeing a few movies here and there.
I just finished
As well.
watching Hacksaw Ridge.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I liked it more because I am a Christian, and to kind of I mean, I gotta be honest. Watching that movie, and for those who don't know the plot of it, it's basically this kid who decides to join the army because they're at war, and he has some issues with his father being like basically a terrible guy, and so he made a vow when he became Christian not to touch guns.
Right.
And
He became a pacifist, right?
so basically, the whole movie is about him going to the army, and you see him start, and he's basically being mocked and harassed because
No one
he
wants
won't-
him there.
Yeah, nobody wants him there. They want him to leave because he refuses to use a gun.
But he wants to
But
be a
it was
medic. That's why he wants to be there to help people and help.
Yeah,
because
he just wants to help. He doesn't want to kill.
He's got a
He doesn't
he's
wanna
a
murder,
natural
he
when it
doesn't wanna
comes
kill.
to helping out. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
natural with that. Yeah.
So it's a unique story, and like I said, I think I connected more because from the Christian perspective of it. I'm not saying anybody outside of a Christian couldn't connect with it, but it's a Mel Gibson film, and Mel Gibson is, I believe, a Catholic
Yeah.
Christian or whatever, and so he likes to create these films based off true stories that have that spiritual side to it, and so I really enjoyed it. It was a difficult film to watch, though, as I was watching, not just because it's really gory. I did not expect that.
Yep.
It's really, really gory,
Very
but also
violent.
just
Yeah.
like it was very hard to. I don't know. It made me think of war in a different way. As somebody who's a complete loser who's never gone to war or anything like that, it definitely changed my perspective because it makes you feel like you're there. What if that was you, and for him to be how he was, even in that situation, it was crazy.
Yeah, I actually really think that anyone could watch this movie and come away with some
Yeah,
positive thoughts. I think it specifically speaks to those of us who have convictions of some kind of faith or really any belief. If you have any kind of strong conviction, regardless of whether it's faith related, God related or not, I think you could appreciate the stand that he takes in terms of, hey, this is what I believe. This is what I'm standing by.
Well, and
so
the funny
I think anyone
thing
could
is,
appreciate that.
Even as a Christian, I would probably. Here's why this movie connected with me: is I probably would have mocked him. I would have been like, "Really, dude? Just because you believe in God? Hey, I believe in the same God as you. I'm grabbing a gun. I'm sorry, I'm grabbing a gun." So I think that's kind of why it weighed on me, is because even as a Christian myself, I didn't fully understand his perspective.
Yeah.
And then as the movie plays out, you kind of you start to understand it more, and you kind of, like you said, you kind of respect his conviction, and that we all should be that way. If we have something that we hold true to, and others are trying to tear it down or try to beat us down for it, we should still stand with it and not worry about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, he's got
to be
a
honest with you-
relentless positivity throughout that movie too. Like he kind of has a
Exactly.
constant smile, and there's a kind of a cute little romance going on at one point. At the beginning, it feels very much like a period piece set during World War II, but it's all at home, and there's a little love story and the drama of him trying to get into the army and be able to serve. It's just it's very drama and somewhat romantic comedy heavy towards the beginning. And that's not bad. It's all well done. It's just once you get to that second half of the movie and that the war scenes kick in, holy cow. It is one of the goriest war movies I've seen. But I'll say this, Mel Gibson knows how to shoot a battle sequence. I mean, for those of you who like Braveheart and The Patriot and stuff, Mel Gibson, he's got a great eye for how a battlefield should look, and so he did a great job with it.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was intense. But anyways, we're not
Cool.
here to talk movies.
But you guys should watch Baby Driver. I can recommend that, and it sounds like Derek is recommending Hacksaw Ridge, and I would second that. So those are some good ones. All right, and I did like Spider-Man Homecoming. It wasn't the best of the best, but I thought it was quite good. I'll just leave it at that. We can talk about that at a different time. We need to move on to some of this other stuff. I did like it, just so you know.
No, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Just
it was
not
good.
as good as people said it was.
Yeah, it didn't change my life, but I enjoyed it. All right. Let's get to a few things. We're going to cover some news first, and then we're going to get into some listener thoughts, questions, feelings, opinions about Derek, whatever they might be. So we'll get to those in just a little bit. Let's start with some news, though. And some of you might be totally up to date with all this. That's great. And thank you to those of you who keep our group up to date and our page up to date with news. A lot of you post, breaking news or headlines or release dates and things like that. Keep that coming. But in case you don't, this week is the Destiny 2 beta. I believe it starts early for the PS4. I'm hoping, because I don't have a code, I'm hoping that since I I pre-ordered it digitally, I'll have access without inputting a code. I'm pretty sure I will. But that beta starts this week, early on the PlayStation 4, and then it rolls out on the Xbox One. So I think it's PS4 on the 18th, Xbox One 19th, and then I think PC after that. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I feel like that's the schedule I saw. That's happening this week, though. That's happening this week, so go give it a try. I think they have one story mission and then a strike, possibly some other stuff too, but they want to give you a taste of what the game looks and feels like. You do some multiplayer. That's going to be fun. There's a few of us who are planning on playing that.
Yeah, I'll be on Tuesday night for sure. I've already got it downloaded on both the PS4 and Xbox One. I'm real excited.
Yep, so that'll be really cool. There's another big sequel coming out. It's funny, these are two 2014 games that are both getting sequels within a very short time of each other. And they both released in 2014 around the same time, too. So Shadow of Mordor, of course, its sequel, Shadow of War, is coming out in October. But Shadow of Mordor just got an update, apparently this past week or two, where it allows you to export your Nemesis data. So if you've got a main ally or rival or set of allies and rivals, I believe you can export them into Shadow of War. So those characters that have been built up in your Nemesis system will then export over and can be part of your Shadow of War experience, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a way for them to carry that over. And we've talked about this before. That Nemesis system is kind of its own little side story because you create a rivalry with these orcs and these captains that build their way up. And if you brand them, then they become your allies. And so that's a much bigger aspect of Shadow of War. They're letting you carry that on. So that's pretty cool. I just wanted to point this out, and a few other news outlets have been highlighting this. I figured I'd mention it too. October 27th, 2017 is going to be one of the craziest days, not only in gaming, but really just in entertainment in general. It's going to be a very, very busy time. And of course, we'll have football going on too, on top of all this. But on October 27th, we have Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Super Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins. I keep saying oranges. I got a problem. Stranger Things Season 2 will drop on Netflix that weekend as well, right in time for Halloween. And after 7 years off, there is a new movie in the Saw series, and they're just calling it Jigsaw. I'm not necessarily a big fan. I thought the first Saw was kind of creative and well done. I watched the second one and then gave up on the rest. That being said, it's still worth mentioning. It is a big kind of cultural entertainment event. October 27th is going to be nuts if you are interested in movies, games, TV at all.
Yeah, I'm real excited. The only game I haven't pre-ordered yet, but I will definitely get it, is Mario Odyssey. I'm kind of deciding, should I go digital? Should I go hard copy? Hard copy is probably the smarter thing to do with multiple switches, but I'm real excited. Wolfenstein 2, I've got it locked down on PC, and Assassin's Creed, I've got it locked down on the Xbox One.
And you have both of those on the PS4. You'll have both of those, and you'll have both of those on the PS4 too, thanks to this guy. Yeah, not that you need it because you've got all your high-powered systems and whatnots. I'm gonna do Mario Odyssey through Best Buy. I think I agree with what Sasan said in the group the other day, and I know he was kind of kidding, but I'm pretty sure he was also serious. Those physical Switch game cases are really cool. They look nice on a shelf. They're the right size. They're nice and thin. They got the nice red siding on them. I like the way they look. So I like having physical versions of these Switch games. The only negative part is swapping out the cartridges. It's very simple. You don't have to even power off your system. It's just, one extra step between you and the game. So whatever. All right, so those are some general headlines. Let's talk about some PS4 news. Sad news for you, Derek, and a few others, but Ni no Kuni 2 has been delayed to January 19th, 2018.
I gotta say, I'm happy personally. I'm not happy for those who were really excited.
Yeah, if that was their game that they couldn't wait for.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. But for me personally, with October 27th being so loaded, not to mention Shadow of War comes out, Shadow of War comes out a couple weeks before that, and
you'll have Destiny 2 still, right? That'll be 2 months old.
Yeah,
and Destiny 2 will only be a couple months old.
And then you've got in November Crackdown 3 and the X1X launching. I've got a lot of stuff. I know Ni no Kuni is something I would have bought, and then it just would have been something I would have been like, oh, maybe in June of 2018 I'll play it. You know, one of those things like, why did I buy it? So this kind of helps me, even though I know technically 2018's already huge.
Yeah, Q1 and Q2 of that year.
If this stays, I love the fact it's in January, because January is not probably going to be that busy. So this will fit in perfectly. It'll give me that new game that I want in January. So yeah, I think it's a good thing for me personally. So yeah, I feel bad for you few that are like, I want this day
Right.
one November, and it's my
Yep.
only game.
It was
I'm
November
getting.
10th before that was the release date.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's interesting for me because that game was one that I just said, nope, not a chance. I never played the first one. It still is only available on the PS3 or through, I think you can play it through.
It's on PS Now, but
PS
I don't
Now.
understand why this game would have been to me so easy to remaster.
I'm not sure why it's not on PS4.
Yeah, it's
but-
so beautiful.
yeah.
Like they probably
Yeah.
would have had to like just go take it from if it was 720p. I don't know what it was. 720p to 1080p. Call it remaster. We're good.
Yeah.
Like they could have just done
It's
that.
surprising that they haven't. But that being said, all of a sudden, my interest in this game, which was pretty much none, I admire it. I think it's cool looking, and I know people love it. But there was really no chance I was going to play it anytime soon, at least. But now that it's sitting there in that January slot, where I know that's usually pretty vacant when it comes to game releases, now I'm kind of like interesting. Like
And you'll have it because I'm gonna buy it. Well,
and Resident Evil 7 was
it's
one that I
coming
didn't
on
really care
PC
about,
too.
but that had a good chance of getting people's attention in January. I wonder if this year's is Ni no Kuni 2 is that January hit. All right, July 25th, so coming up here in just a few short weeks, actually just 2 short weeks, is the Neo DLC called Defiant Honor. I believe this is the second DLC. I think. I'm not positive.
I haven't kept track because I am not playing the DLC. I beat the game and I was done with it.
So it does include some story additional stuff. It also includes new gear and new weapons, all that kind of stuff. So all the stuff you'd normally want. It's part of your season pass. If you bought that, awesome. If not, it's $10 for that DLC. It comes out July 25th. Another piece of news for the PS4, Spider-Man's open world that's being created by Insomniac, they are now saying it is about 4 times larger than Sunset Overdrive. Now, as someone who has not yet played Sunset Overdrive, I didn't know if that was big or not, but I read that that's actually been Insomniac's largest game to date. And
Yeah.
Spider-Man's open world is 4 times bigger than that. So now we're starting to get into that Zelda Witcher 3 territory of land mass in terms of area to explore. That's very cool. Lots of space for you to swing around as Spidey when that game drops in 2023. All right. No response to that. I guess you agree. Cool.
No.
Xbox news. For those of you who were jealous of some of these PS4 exclusives or timed exclusives, well, you at least have one coming your way, and to the tune of this adventure game, this indie game called What Remains of Edith Finch. It is a critical hit. I don't know how well it's done with sales, but people seem to love it. Everyone who plays it seems to really enjoy it. It's not something that Derek typically plays. It is something that I would play once it's on the old PS Plus or something crazy like that.
I'm interested in it like I was interested in some of the other
Yeah.
walking
Adventure
/
games,
puzzle simulators because
Mhm.
of the story. But I don't know if I can, with all the games we have already, I don't know if I could waste my time.
But it
with
is coming to Xbox for you Xbox owners on July 19th. That'll be out this coming week when you're listening to this. Also, there's a system update that came out last week for the Xbox One, which does include, get excited for this, Derek, custom profile pics. Huh? You excited?
Nice. Yeah.
Very good. So there you go. Now you
Bathroom
can take
selfies, here we come.
all the selfies that you want on your Xbox Live profile.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's talk Nintendo for a few seconds here. ARMS updates have been rolling out, and that's included this new Versus mode, and more excitingly, for me at least, is they've added Max Brass, which is normally one of the final characters that you fight against when you go through the main tournament mode. So Max Brass is now added. He's got those giant hammer arms that he uses, so go check that out if you haven't yet. It's free DLC. Really smart move
That's
by
cool.
Nintendo to keep updating this game like that. A big announcement came out again about the Switch, and that is that WWE 2K18 will be coming to the Switch this fall. They have not confirmed that it's day and date with the other systems, but it should be right in the same time frame at least. And again, I don't think there's any confirmation about what the resolution will be, if it's going to be a one-to-one comparison for all the modes and content, but we do know it's coming, and they made a big announcement about that this past week. Here's why I think that's cool. It's a major annual franchise that's arriving on the Switch in the same way that it's going to arrive on the PC, Xbox One, and PS4. I think this bodes well for some other major annual sports franchises. I don't know that it's going to happen in August, but I think it would be really, really great if EA announced that Madden's coming to the Switch, because I might actually give that game a purchase if I could play a full franchise of Madden on the go. Sitting on my couch, doing the NFL drafts and making my trades and playing Madden. That would be amazing. So we'll see if they do that or not. But the fact that WWE 2K18 is coming, to me, is a good sign for other sports franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. And lastly, in Switch news, it looks like Platinum Games is possibly teasing some games on the Switch. Possibly not, but people are really reading into stuff because I think part of it's because they really want it really badly. The other part could be because Platinum Games is going to do some stuff with the Switch here pretty shortly. So what happened was they put out they tweeted out a picture of Bayonetta, and half of it is blue and half of it is red. Very similar shades to the Switch. And that's all. And it was kind of like, follow us and thanks for your support. It wasn't anything specific to the Switch.
Yeah.
But so people started speculating, is Bayonetta coming? Are they doing Bayonetta 1 and 2 compilation? Which would be brilliant, I think. And then, of course, they had, and I forget exactly what the image was, but they put out some details that looked like, are they referencing the Wonderful 101 on the Switch? And again, another game that I'd be very interested in playing on this little system, because I missed it on the Wii U. So there you go. Some rumors from Platinum Games, nothing confirmed yet. And that's it. That's it for the news. Is there anything that I'm missing that is worth mentioning?
No, I mean, we didn't talk about Final Fantasy 12 at all. Did you play it?
I have not played it yet. I've put most of my time. I actually didn't game that much this week, but when I did, I finished off Mass Effect Andromeda, so I spent most of my time doing that.
Yeah. See, I booted it up on Tuesday because I was excited for it, but at the same time, it's one of those situations where it's like, I don't really want to start this when I'm already in the middle of Andromeda and Horizon Zero Dawn, which, by the way, I want to say this real quick. As somebody who played Horizon Zero Dawn, beat it, enjoyed it overall, but didn't walk away from it the first time going, oh my gosh, this is the greatest game ever, like some other people were. I think part of that was I felt a little rushed because it released, it was like 4 days before Zelda. So, right. And I didn't really want to dive heavy into Zelda until I was done with Horizon. Yep. So I will admit, and I think I said this before, so I'm not just saying it now because I'm replaying it, that I kind of sped through it. I did side quests and stuff like that, but I was trying to get the story done, and then I wanted to play Zelda. And then there was other games, like Mass Effect Andromeda was coming out. There was a bunch of stuff going on.
Yep. But now you can slow down and enjoy it.
Yeah, so going back to it and already being familiar with the system, the world, and the story, I don't even care about the cutscenes. I'm going through those and not even watching them. I'm skipping them. I'm playing this purely for the gameplay, and I'm having an absolute blast. To me, this might be one of the greatest years in gaming just for gameplay.
Fun.
Forget everything else. To me, Zelda was a fun game to play because it was fun to explore. The combat was interesting. The customization was fun. Horizon, while the customization isn't as cool, that's the one thing I would say it's lacking.
It's pretty limited.
More. Yeah, it's limited. The gameplay is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. You can play it stealth, you can play it action, whatever you want to do in your situations, and the world is... I also want to say this, as somebody who's PC Master Race, 4K or get the F out guy now, that game is gorgeous.
It's so pretty. Yeah.
It's like a checkerboard 4K or whatever, it's 1800p or something like that. It's not true 4K native. But man, it looks just as good as any of my native 4K games.
It's so pretty.
It's just the particle effects, the world, everything about it. And then you have, of course, and I'm not going to forget about it, Mass Effect Andromeda, one of my favorite games to play this year. So fun. It's just been a crazy year for just fun games. Yep. And even though I'm overloaded with games, it's been nice to just replay Andromeda, Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm just going back and forgetting about the games that I just don't... I'm not saying Nier's a bad game. I make fun of you guys but I really just don't have that much of an interest to play it. Because if I did, I wouldn't be playing these other games.
I
I'd
know
rather
that
play
some will disagree with me on this. I would actually not put Nier in that category of just flat out fun. I found it to
Yeah.
be a very niche, very specific type of game, and I had fun with it, but it wasn't like this absolute joy to play like some of these other games were. It was very interesting and very cool and sleek. I wouldn't call that one fun to play. The other ones you described, though, totally. I'd throw ARMS in there and a few other Switch experiences I've had too. It's just kind of fun. They're
Yeah,
not.
Neo is another one. The only reason why I didn't say that one
Neo's
right
good.
away is
Yeah.
because it's so difficult.
It's very
It
tough.
isn't
Yeah.
fun, but it
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
Really.
I will throw this out there too. Do you think, real quick question before we get to our community's questions, do you think Horizon 2 will step up the RPG game with that franchise? Do you
I
think that's
what
what's
they're gonna do. I think
Yeah.
the major things that they could fix is, I don't think the voice acting was bad. I think it was more the animations. I think they need to fix that. Maybe
and
get a
that'll
few-
come with the technology improvements.
Yeah, I think there was a few voices that I was like, really, guys? How much do you pay this person? And then
Well, the worst was the brother sister one when the brother is lost and hearing voices in his head.
yeah.
That YouTube video that leaked before the game came out, and that to me, I've played a lot of the side quests. That was still the worst one. That was
Yeah.
awful.
And then I would also say the RPG side of it. I think that game could take stuff like Andromeda and what Andromeda does, where you basically can take any gun and build whatever you want. I think Horizon could do the same thing. Like, hey, here's your bow. Now you can do whatever you want to modify it. Not just the ammunition,
Right.
but like you can modify scopes or whatever you want to do. Double bow.
I mean,
whatever you
crafting's
wanna
already
do.
part of Horizon, but when you
Mhm.
play something like Andromeda with how deep that system gets and all the different versions and the way you can continue to research and develop things, I'm with you. I think Horizon's going to go at least one step towards that direction. With
Yeah, I think that
with
would
their
be
next
great.
entry.
Again, if they just made a second one and it was exactly like the first one, maybe improve the voice acting a little bit and animations, and just made a great story with a great world and a great game,
Yeah.
you would not hear me complain. Like I wouldn't
Totally.
be like, oh my god.
That's
you
just what
guys
that's
didn't
just what I
fix-"
think they'll do. I think.
Yeah,
they'll-
I think they will because they have enough RPG in it. I don't think they look at it as. I don't think they look at this franchise as like a Tomb Raider type game where it has some, upgrading and stuff like that, but it's not a full scale RPG. I think they look at it as we started out as action RPG. Now we're gonna do action and we're gonna go full scale RPG as well.
Yep, I'm looking forward to see. And I'm guessing it would be at the earliest next summer's E3, but maybe even after that, maybe 2018's PSX event. That's when we'll start hearing about the next Horizon 2. We'll see the next Horizon game. All right, let's not get too far off track. Let's jump right into our listener questions that we call Listen.
Hey, listen!
All right, so let's kick things off with, and I'm not going to use their full last names, to protect some identities here. Let's see if you can figure out who this is. A young man named Daniel F. He asks, Derek, why are you the way that you are?
Why am I the way that I am? This coming from DFC. I don't know. I guess for some people the response would be because I need attention. For other people, because I'm an ass.
Hey!
The other people would be because I'm a racist. So my response would be all of the above.
Awesome. I was wondering where you were going with that. I was getting
I
real
have
nervous.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm
Yeah,
just
you start down the road without seeing the end in sight. That's
yeah,
good.
and either comes out funny or it goes like, why are you talking? No.
All right, so we have a combination of the crazy stuff and some good questions here too. So here's one. We got a message from Greg S. He says, "Hi, Fathers of the Grind. I just found your podcast and I've listened to the last few episodes. I've enjoyed what I've heard. I'm planning to go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes. Anything I should know before I start?" I'll pause right there. Anything he should know before he dives back to some older backlogs of Fathers of the Grind?
Oh man, I don't think we evolved that much. I think our shows could be a little difficult to listen to from the earlier ones, just because a lot of what we talk about is like relevant now.
Correct.
Like we don't talk about.
Yes.
I mean, we do on some shows, but we're not like, let's talk about the history of gaming. Let's talk about the history of TV shows. We
There you
talk
go.
about the now more than anything.
And every once in a while, we'll do what you said. We'll do a history thing.
That's
not-
very rare.
Right.
So going back, you might run into some frustrations or even some boredom because you're like, well, that's a game I played a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to hear you guys talk about your impressions about it. But yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing. It's just whether you enjoy our banter, our personalities. If you do that, then yeah, go back and listen. I think they're all good shows. Like I said, maybe in the beginning we were definitely long-winded,
Yes.
but maybe we were a little, stale. I don't know, but I think we've been pretty much the same.
Yeah, we found our vibe after. It didn't take very many shows, I don't think, to kind of get into a groove.
I think once we hit that point where like we got to know each other and we stopped caring about each other's feelings, we could just say whatever we want. Like I don't sit there and say something to him and go, "Oh man, I hope he doesn't take that serious." Like if he does, then he's an idiot. But there you go, right there.
Very true. Very true.
You get my point. Like I think we got in a rhythm. We figured out how each other work, and it's going pretty good.
Yep, I totally agree. I will say there is a YouTube episode from last summer. It was around episode 39, maybe. I don't remember which episode it was.
I think if we're talking about my special episode,
yes.
I think it was 34.
Was it 34?
Whatever episode on YouTube has the most views is that show.
Yeah, if you go back to that one, it's one of the funniest. I mean, I remember our conversation actually being pretty solid that show too, because I've watched it at least twice.
Yeah, I was
but
enjoying
during
what
that
we were
episode,
talking
there
about.
are some surprise visitors on Derek's side, and you have to watch the video version to get a full appreciation of it. And
and you have to watch it to the end. I found it to be very funny.
It's very hilarious, and it's safe for work. I edited things out. It's just very funny. We've had some other good ones too, and the ones I was gonna recommend are the ones exactly what Derek described, and that is if we do a top 5 whatever, our favorite sports games or whatever the topic is, just glance through the topics. And I think around episode somewhere in the 20s maybe even before that we started putting the titles there. For a while there it was just episode 11, episode 12, but then we started adding the titles where you could kind of see what the show is about. And if it interests you, if it seems kind of like an evergreen conversation that's interesting no matter what time of year it is or what the news is, go check it out. We shifted away a little bit from here are the new deals and here's all the news. We did that for a while, and then we shifted away from that, and we talk about it sometimes, like this week. But yeah, there you go.
It was episode 34. I was right.
Episode 34. There you go. Go check episode 34 out on YouTube. All right,
At least
and
scroll
subscribe
to
to
the
us there,
end,
too.
even if you don't want to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's worth
you
it.
can just scrub through it and find the good stuff. It's funny.
Yep.
So Greg continues. He says, I'm currently playing Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. I actually never did play that one. I played the other DS one. I'm blanking on what it was called. And he's also playing Mass Effect Andromeda. So he's kind of switching back and forth between his DS and on the console. He says he's not loving Andromeda, but he loved the original trilogy, so he's going to stick with it. But it's nice to hear somebody not bashing it. Yes, I agree with you there, Greg. The critics have loved to take this game to task. And it's interesting as I play through it, the pass that some games will get for what some of the weaknesses of Andromeda are, and it's technical issues or some of the delivery of certain lines, and lip syncing can go off.
Well, I think Horizon's a fair comparison.
Horizon is the perfect game to compare in this way, because Horizon has plenty of moments that make you cringe because the animation or the voice sync is just off.
In my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I know some people will call me crazy, especially if you're a Sony pony, but to me, Horizon and Mass Effect Andromeda are complete equals. Like, in my opinion, gameplay-wise, they're equal. Animations, equal. Graphics, world, equal. Well, Mass Effect has multiple worlds, but you get my point. The way they design the worlds and the gameplay loop, everything, equal across the board. Now, go to Games Media and go look at reactions of both games. You've got one that's just people are ecstatic for, and they absolutely should be. One major reason is it's a new IP.
Yeah.
And people get
And it
excited
delivered.
about new IPs,
Right.
and they're willing to overlook things on new IPs. Now, if Horizon 2 comes out and they have the exact same problems, now I just said I'd be okay with it. I would, because I would be like,
Critics
this
would
game's
not.
super fun. But I think critics, and maybe you would even hear me say, really guys, you couldn't fix the animations, you couldn't fix the voice acting, like, That's when you start expecting more. And with the Mass Effect trilogy, and I don't know Greg, but he probably loved the hell out of that trilogy like I did. It is hard to go into Andromeda with that background and be like, I'm not disappointed. Anybody who's listened to me on this show knows the first 10 hours I played that game, I was like, man, this is not what I wanted. They missed the mark. And I had a list. Here's everything they screwed up that I don't like. And then as I kept playing, I'm like, you know what? It's just fun. It's freaking fun.
Yeah.
And so I forgave that game, and like I said, I forgave Horizon too, because I was a critic of Horizon. I wasn't giving it a free pass. I was like, this is unacceptable that this is like this, and this is like this.
Yeah.
But after a while of just enjoying the games, to me, those two are equals, and they're amazing both.
Yep. I don't know that I would say they're equals, but I'll save that for our Game of the Year conversation in December because it's very close. Yeah, it's very close.
So
we'll get into that
basically,
later.
if people listen to our opinions, they see I'm for equality, Tim is not.
That's a good summary. Yeah, thanks for summing that up for me. That's great. Yep.
Please attack Tim. Stop coming after me. I'm for equality.
Yeah, you are. You
Yeah.
got that shirt? I don't know. Whatever. All right. Is that a Michigan shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, brother. All right, so Chucky D, and I think I know who Chucky D actually is, but we'll let you stick to your nom de plume. That's fine. Chucky D asks, what has had the greatest impact, tech-wise, in gaming? And this is kind of a broad one.
Gaming. So this could be hardware.
Yep. And it
could
could
be
be just kind of
software.
general tech industry. So here, let me give you some examples. It could be, as wireless took over wired for controllers and that kind of stuff. It could be, it could be something hardware related, like with processing power. Although I'm not very knowledgeable about that. I'm thinking more in terms of, the HD era compared to maybe when online became a thing. That kind of, or when those kind of things became a big deal.
I think you mentioned online. I think that would be the greatest impact. I think there's multiple reasons why I would say that. For instance, we just talked about this earlier when we talked about Destiny. You and I and Rob played until 4 in the morning. Well, 4 in the morning my time. Just hanging out.
Yep.
You live in Colorado, I live in Florida, and he lives in Jersey.
Yep.
I don't think we would have ever talked in our entire life if it wasn't for networking, the internet.
Very true.
And so I think with that type of connection, to be able to play multiplayer, to be able to play co-op, that is significant tech-wise. But also on the game side, it allows developers to patch. I just recently listened to, now I'm going to forget the stupid show's name. What's our favorite IGN
Game
show?
Scoop.
Game Scoop. And they were talking about how they didn't envy Dan Stapleton because Dan is the head of reviews and he'll review a game now and then a month or two later it could be totally fixed of what he was mad about. And so if somebody goes, let's say, a year later and goes, oh, what did Dan Stapleton think of a Mass Effect Andromeda? And he has all these lists of negatives and then they've played the game and they're like, those don't match up. I mean, I'm not saying that's a big deal, but the point is that developers are able to fix games. They're able to update them. I love the fact that Horizon Zero Dawn can now add in new Game Plus.
Right.
They could add in new equipment and a new difficulty.
Or even like
Zelda.
Witcher 3 and overhaul the entire menu system.
Exactly.
Right?
Zelda Breath of the Wild, they're throwing in new DLC that's fun to go get the armor sets and to do the trials. So those are just examples, but I think the connectivity, the internet, on the tech side, I think it's great for games. It's great for community and just playing games with each other has really. I think that's what's taken games from being like popular to like mainstream.
Correct. I totally agree.
Where you've gotten, like I said, I think I talked to you guys about it the other night about how my pastor was like, "Hey, what games are you excited for?" Like he was kind of interested in playing a game with me, and he wanted to plan out what maybe him and I could buy together to play co-op because he doesn't play anything on his own except Call of Duty, which by the way is a multiplayer game. He doesn't play like single player games. He wants to play with others. So.
Yep. And that's how a lot of people game these days. You know, Madden, Call of Duty, and everything in between, phone games. I agree, and I'll even add on to there, I think the ability of the entire industry to communicate to its consumers and to its stakeholders was completely overhauled when online became a big part of how they communicated. So not even just the way the games operated, but how they communicate. So that's number one, is they can now get the information out quickly. They can live stream things. They can make announcements via social media. This stuff is all making it so much more accessible to the consumer. They don't have to wait for their magazine that comes once every 4 weeks. They don't have to wait for some kind of news update from a tech site.
Some negatives to that, but like
there's
you said,
a lot of negatives to it.
overall-
Yes, it's created a lot of jaded feelings and kind of spoiled people basically in the industry as well. But it has really helped it to grow. On the other side of that too, I would say it allowed the smaller developers to flourish in a way they never would have otherwise. Online has allowed small developers with creative ideas, whether you like them or not, to become a thing and grow. In some cases, grow into a large development company. In some cases, they make enough of a name for themselves that they are then hired on by the big name developers and then can make an impact there. And I think that has shaped the last 20 years or so of gaming completely. So I think it's online without a doubt. Other things, motion controls and wireless, all that kind of stuff, you know, portable gaming, that's all had an impact, but I think online's the biggest impact. So we agree, Derek, which is weird. All right.
Terrible. I'm changing my answer.
Let's move on to a question from Robert S. He says, how do you balance time between experience games, and he'll explain what he means, and lifestyle games? So he equates experience games to things like Deus Ex, Horizon, lifestyle games more like a Rainbow Six Siege or Wildlands or Destiny, where it's kind of ongoing. He says, I basically don't play lifestyle games because I can't dedicate what seems like enough time to stay in them and for them to stay relevant and good, that kind of thing. So
No, I get
what do you think about that? How do you balance time between those? Do you even think of games in those categories? How would you respond to that?
No, I do think of games in those categories, but I don't shy away from lifestyle games, mainly because those are I always use the word like casual. Like when I'm not in the mood for a story-driven game or a mission, I guess you could say a solo experience, like
Right.
A Final Fantasy 12 or a Horizon or something like that, where I'm like, I don't want to plow through this. I just finished a big game. I just kind of want to play Rocket League. Like that, Rocket League's my casual game that I just go back to. Destiny fills that role. Recently it was Forza Horizon 3, where it was just like, I don't want to play anything that makes me think or frustrates me.
Right.
Which I'm not saying I don't get frustrated with like Rocket League and stuff like that, but I get frustrated with the competitive nature of it, not the actual gameplay loop or anything like that. So I do enjoy the lifestyle games. I never feel like I'm out of it. I mean, I know with Destiny there was times where like a raid would come out and I would be like 30 light points below what I needed to be, so it would take me working hard to do it. But I just got to the point where I was like, well, I don't even really care about the raids, so I just play it when I want to play it. And if I'm getting higher light level, I'm getting higher light level. I'm just playing it for fun. So that's kind of how I am with the lifestyle games. I play them a lot. I've put more hours into Rocket League and Destiny than any other game. Easily. It's not even freaking close. But I still get through a lot of those experience type games like Horizon, the Mass Effects and stuff like that, because I do get into like that feeling or that flow where I'm like, I just want to play that. That's all I want to play. And so once I complete one of those games, then I normally am like, well, I'm not in the mood to jump in that. Let me go to a Destiny or a Rocket League or something like that.
Yeah, so my balance on those two things is completely skewed towards experience games. Totally. Now I do some of the lifestyle stuff, like I've put some time into Destiny, nowhere near what Derek has across multiple systems. But I have put a good amount of time into there. You know, I've got my level 40 guys up to the light level. I think last night I got them up to 336 or something. So feel pretty good about that, and I enjoy that. I wouldn't personally consider stuff like Rocket League or if I played Call of Duty, that kind of stuff, lifestyle games. And the reason being it's all match-based. So you sit down, you play a few matches, and you're done. You don't – when you step away from it, the only thing to figure out when you come back is how to knock the rust off and get back into the groove. It's not a matter of now my gear is way behind and, my car is way slower than everybody else's. So lifestyle I think of as more of in that MMO category, Destiny, Division, stuff like that. So that's just my personal opinion. And I veer away from those more often than not. But things like Destiny, when it's that fun to play and when there's a nice group of gamers that want to play regularly, it's hard to resist. But I definitely skew towards the experience games. Good question.
Yeah, very good question.
Joshua P. asks, what is your favorite gaming genre, and what's the next game in that genre you're looking forward to? I'll answer this one first while you think.
Yeah.
So my favorite gaming genre, it really does vary, but I'm gonna call it action adventure, and usually it's the kind that has that it has some of those RPG elements to it. So think Horizon, right? And my favorite game coming out in that genre that I'm looking forward to is Assassin's Creed Origins. So that's my favorite genre, and that's the next one coming
Okay, so I think my answer is going to be partially the same as yours, and that is I am also a big fan of third-person action. I'm going to say RPG
Like
more
action
than
RPG?
adventure.
Yeah.
And the game I'm most excited for would be Shadow of War.
There you go. Yep, I'm excited for both of those, but yeah, a little bit more for AC Origins. Okay, cool. Jake R. Who is this guy? His name sounds familiar. He says, what things in marriage/parenthood have impacted your gaming the most? Whether that's how you play, what you play, when you play, all that stuff. What things in marriage and or parenthood have impacted your gaming? If anything. Maybe Derek would say, nothing, I still do what I want when I want. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I'll tell you. I think we spoke on this before.
A little bit.
Violence doesn't really bother me in front of the kids. If it's ridiculous, sure, but I'm not big on that. If I'm playing like a game like The Witcher, I'm not playing that in front of my kids. Like I'll either play it when they go to bed, or I'll play it in my little corner here that I have now. Yeah. But I'm not going to put it on the big screen and be like, look at me hooking up with Yennefer, Ian, what's up, bro? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are minor adjustments for, like, the kids on certain things I don't want them to see. As far as the wife, she's not a big fan of gaming. So I'm trying to do, and I've been doing this for the last couple of years, where I try to be a little more respectful of, as far as, and this is really hard, I gotta say this, of figuring out when is not the time to play.
Yeah.
And while for some people it might be obvious, my wife is gone a lot, so when she'll come back, she'll want my attention right now, and I'll be in the middle of the game like Rocket League, and I'll be like, but I can't pause it, and that will set her off. By the way, I gotta say this because I shared this story with my wife. I thought this was funny. I said, "Oh, honey, I fixed our issue." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, you know how you always come home or you're in the room and you want me right now, not for the good stuff, right now." And I'm like, "Hold on, 2 more minutes of Rocket League," and that pisses her off. She's not a big fan of that. I was like, "Well, I just saw an advertisement from NVIDIA." Where they've now created this new AI system that records what you do, how you play in games like Rocket League, how you play in all your games. If you're playing and using NVIDIA, it records everything. And it's this new AI system that you just click a button and the AI takes over for you. So if you're in an online game, you keep playing. Like your Rocket League character will keep playing. Your Battlefield
It's a relationship saver.
Yes. I said, "Honey, we need to invest in this," and she, of course, rolled her eyes and flicked me off.
Well, that's not a no, right?
Nothing's no with me, baby. I do me.
That's gross.
I do me.
That is gross. All right, so
Man of the house.
things in my marriage and in my life in terms of becoming a parent definitely changed, impacted gaming. But for me, and again, we have talked about this, but it's okay to revisit every once in a while. It impacted me in waves. So when I first got married, it was a huge impact because then I was spending most of my time with my new bride, and we were always hanging out, and 100% of the time we did everything together. And then, a couple years into marriage, we became a little more comfortable with saying, hey, listen, I'm going to go over here and do this thing. You go do that thing. So we were okay with spending time a little bit apart. So I got back into gaming then. But then we had our first kid, and then I backed out of gaming for a little while, and really focused on being a dad. And then once we got in the swing of things there, I allowed gaming to come back in. So I guess for me, every time a major change happens in life, I typically let gaming be one of those hobbies that takes a back seat. And I think that's the smart way to play it, because games will still be there when you get back. The most that you'll miss out on is maybe some online multiplayer opportunities if it's not as popular. And that's at worst. Otherwise, all the experiences will still be there when you come back. And I've had to learn that the hard way. I'm not a very patient person. I've had to learn patience in my life. So those are the ways that it has impacted me the most, is just flat out patience when it comes to, over a long period of time, just waiting to experience stuff. And I've also had to become okay with just missing some stuff, and that's the same thing with movies sometimes too, is this just isn't something I'm going to play. Maybe someday I will, but it's just not something that needs to be on my radar right now, and I need to be okay with missing out on this thing. So
yeah, and I think our groups kind of, in a way, and I don't mean this in a negative way, make it harder to miss those things. Like, for instance, like a game like Nier, I had somewhat of interest in it, but everybody's like, it's so amazing, so amazing, so amazing, so I buy it. And then I start playing it, and I'm like, okay, it's pretty good. Like, I have no negative feelings towards it. And then I decide not to play it because it's one of those games where I personally am like, I don't really care. Like, it's, I don't need to finish this game like I need to finish Mass Effect Andromeda. But when you continually hear people say, it's Game of the Year, it's great, it's great, you need to play it, you need to play it. It's like that pressure, like that friend that's like constantly in your ear, like, you need to do this. And so, like I said, I don't mean it in like a negative way, but it's kind of like, it's harder to get off the hook. Like, if I didn't have this group at all, I could just be like, no, I'm not going to play Nier. I'm not going to play Yakuza. I'm not going to play these games. And I could even tell myself and convince myself, I'm not going to play them because they're trash. But when reality is, it's just because I don't have that much interest.
Yep. And I mean, I have also been impacted by what I play at times. So, for example, you mentioned violence in games, of course. I'm with you there. Also, if I know a game's going to have a ton of swearing in it, I'll try to make sure I have headphones in. So I play with headphones in for two reasons, a lot more. Number one, I can. You used to have to buy some kind of special, headphone extension cable that plugs into some audio output on the back of your TV. Yeah. Now most systems make it much more simple for you to just use your headphones right into your controller or what have you. So, but anyway, I do use headphones a lot more. Number one, in case there's some content there that's just audible that my kids could hear, even if they're not watching the screen. But number two, when my wife's hanging out in the vicinity, whether she's hanging out over the dining room table with her iPad or sitting on the couch nearby, if I'm playing something with tons of explosions and guns shooting and stuff, it's just kind of off-putting to someone who's not involved in that thing, but they want to still kind of be near you. So anyway, I've done a lot more headphones than I had in the past. And I think that's fine. It's not really an impact. It's just more of an adjustment that I had to make.
Yeah.
All right. Some guy named John BM. Bowel movement? I don't know what that is. He asks, what is Derek's favorite beer?
It's got to be Trash RS. That's a great beer, right?
Trash RS.
RS.
Oh, Trash RS.
Trash RS. Beer is trash. It's disgusting. No, I don't like beer.
Derek does not like beer. Every once in a while he'll have a Zima, but beer
is Zima considered a beer?
No.
All right, so then I don't like beer.
All right, so my favorite, by the way, I have a couple different ones, but my
go-to... He didn't ask for yours. He didn't,
but I'm going to answer anyway. My go-to is Sam Adams Boston Lager. I also enjoy some Sierra Nevada. Their IPA is really good. Just a fat tire, pretty good.
I love the PlayStation's new IPA that's coming out.
The new IPA?
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse White.
That was fantastic. All right.
What about those new IPAs?
Here's a question from a young man named Jose J. He says, would you rather drink orange juice expecting it to be milk or drink milk expecting it to be orange juice?
These are really good questions. I would rather drink milk expecting it to be orange juice.
I actually would too. And the reason being, I think if I was not expecting orange juice or such a strong acidic flavor, it would probably, I don't know, maybe I'd spit it out. Like, it would be too surprising. Milk is just such a, what's the word? It's not the opposite of acidic. A base? I don't know. Whatever. It's just not very startling. Like, orange juice would not be great. It'd probably come out my nose. It'd be gross.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Our good Destiny pal from last night, Rob R., asks, with Destiny 2 about to launch and taking up quite a bit of the mind share, what does this iteration have to do to entice new players yet satisfy its already significant fan base? So just give me like one or two things, because we got to wrap up here. So one or two things that Destiny 2 has to do to entice new players while satisfying its fan base.
I think the story is what everybody keeps talking about. Yep. That's what they care about. For me, whatever. But I think if they nail some type of interesting narrative. Also, I think the game already has good lore, but put the lore in the game.
Totally.
And I think you'll get people hooked already.
Yeah, and I think part of that story, it doesn't always have to be, here's the plot from start to finish. Part of that story can simply be, do a better job at showing us the motivations of you, the Guardians, character you've created, and why you're fighting against these enemies. Give me a reason why shooting these enemies is helpful and what I'm accomplishing. Like, again,
which I think the way it's set up for 2 is good, because you've lost your home, so now you're fighting to get your home
There's
back.
some potential there, so we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
Do you think Destiny 2 will see success and be able to remedy some of Destiny 1's missteps? Do you think they'll be able to do it? Do you predict that they will do it? I'll adjust that.
Yeah, I think the original Destiny averaged around like a 6 or a 7 for most reviewers. I think this will be an 8 or a 9. I think they'll nail it. I think expectations are lower for games media and people who hated the game that bought the original on day one. So I think that's in their favor for this one to be successful, because I think they have listened to the community. I think they are going to make the necessary changes, and I think you're going to see results.
I totally agree. Also, we do have a Fathers of the Grind clan. Feel free to join that. If you're not sure exactly all the details there, I think Alan Heinen is one of the guys who helped us get that set up. But just search for it in your Destiny app or on their website, on Bungie's website, and you can find the Fathers of the Grind clan and request to join. Speaking of Alan, he asks, does Derek sort his selfies into albums, or are they all on his phone's camera roll?
They were actually on my camera roll, and the way my iPhone does it is they're in my camera roll, but they do have a selfie folder that they automatically create. So it does go in there, but I actually deleted all my pictures.
That's sad.
When I deactivated my Facebook account, I deleted all my pictures too.
Don't worry, they're all still out on the internet. They don't go away. They're there forever.
And I've reactivated my account just so I could do this podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
To get your message.
All right, last question from Nate B. He asks, how did you first get into gaming? And then lastly, he would like to hear you speak in your Batman voice.
I don't even know. How do I do my Batman voice?
I don't know. That's a request he's making. The people want what they want, man.
How did I first get into gaming? I think it was just being around it. Like, my cousins, they had a computer from the start, from when I was a little kid. My older cousin Alan had a nice computer, and so they always had games, so they were always gaming. And so that kind of got me into it. And then, obviously when the Nest launched and my parents finally got us one, that really hooked me. So it's just been something that's just been around. Like, it was there. And so once I started, playing around in it, it just hooked me.
Did you play arcades at all before home console stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we used to go to, and this was the same people. It was with my cousin and my brother. We used to go to Malibu, and they had like this like arcade area, and we would play, you know, Mortal Kombat. We'd play Street Fighter. There's a bowling alley that had Hydro Thunder, like they had the 4 chairs set up for Hydro Thunder. That was one of my favorite games.
Yep.
My friends and I would, this is when we started driving, we would drive to the bowling alley, we'd bowl a game, and then we would go
Arcade
and play
it up.
Hydro Thunder for like 2 hours.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't do arcade games until well after I was into console gaming. So arcade games were kind of foreign to me by the time I played those. But I first got into gaming. I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again real quickly. I was 5 years old, and my parents got my brother and I. It was mostly for him, but we shared it. An Atari 2600, and the first game I played was Asteroids, and that got me into it. There was something about that. There's a little thing on the screen that I'm controlling, and I'm defeating these enemies, and it was just really, it kind of had that dopamine release effect, you know, just kind of that satisfaction of I just did this thing, I just conquered this game. So that and Pitfall and Frogger and a number of other games, some computer games, stuff like Space Quest and things like that. So yeah, those are the things that got me into gaming, the really old school stuff. We were usually several years behind. So by the time we started playing Atari 2600, the NES had just come out, you know, and things like Zelda and Metroid and Mario were out. But we hadn't played those yet. We had never heard of Punch-Out. You know, we were just playing Atari games. So we were a little bit behind, and thanks to Nintendo Power, we got all caught up in the early 90s. So that's how I got into gaming. And haven't really stopped since. Even the times that I've been kind of slowed down on gaming, I'm still usually playing something, at least on a handheld device or a phone or something. You know, I've usually got some kind of game going on.
Well,
so there you go.
They're literally everywhere now. I mean,
yeah, you can't get away from
your
them.
mobile phone.
Do you remember when you started seeing kids in schools with those the Texas Instruments calculators that had like Tetris and Snake and stuff on them?
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was like the most amazing thing. Like, you just have this thing that's meant for school, but it can play games. I thought that was the most amazing thing ever. But
I also thought it was cool when you could write words into your calculator, like hello.
You mean like boobs?
Cool. Yeah.
I was totally expecting you to say boobs.
Yeah, I was trying to remember all the words. I thought we could do cuss words too, but I can't.
There was hello
I think
and
I
hi.
used to do.
No.
Yeah.
How do you do that one?
I thought I could. I think I could.
All right. Challenge extended. All right. Thank you guys for listening. That does it for us for episode 80. Again, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, all those podcast areas. If you have a chance to rate and review, that'd be awesome. That'd really help us out a lot. If you've got friends who you think might want to listen, go ahead and pass it on, share it, and we'd love to hear from you. So keep sending in your questions and your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So thanks again for your support, and we're out.
Episode 80. Batman loves it.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?